You're in a meeting with everyone and someone calls you out publicly. What you do in the first 3 seconds will set the tone on how the team perceives you. Most people lose their credibility in the first 3 seconds. Let's break down why that happens into three parts: composure, mindset, and response. The first part is essential in the first 3 seconds, and that is maintaining composure. When faced with a public challenge, maintaining composure is essential because it sets the tone on how the room perceives you. You don't want to rush straight into giving an answer or response to the challenge because this can be perceived as defensive. Another thing you don't want to do, especially when the challenge is coming from an emotional point, you do not want to mimic or copy or respond emotionally to that challenge. Instead, what you want to do is breathe, control your facial expression, and take a pause. The pause might feel long to you, but what it feels like to the room is composure. And that is what you want. The second part that affects your response when challenged publicly is your mindset. Mindset shift is essential when it comes to being challenged. Public challenges typically feel very personal and they feel like an attack on your opinions. But put in professional settings, a challenge is not an attack, but is actually a misalignment in understanding. So, by removing the emotion from this challenge, you're able to see this kind of challenge or confrontation from an analytical perspective. Professionals typically take challenges from a few standpoints, which is they look at the facts, they look at the processes, and they look at clarifying the matter. When you're able to shift the conversation away from emotion and into information, that's what will make all the difference in the way that you respond. And that brings us to the third part, which is responding gracefully. As a professional, it is essential that you're able to respond gracefully with minimal emotion. We've already taken a pause in the first point. So there are 4 tools you can use to manage graceful response. First, you can clarify. You can ask the challenger or the person confronting you to clarify. Could you help me understand where you're coming from? You clarify. The second thing you can do is reframe. You may be able to reframe or refine what they're actually challenging you. For example, you could say, that sounds like you are questioning about the timeline of the product. Am I correct? And they will respond, and you will get to clarify that. The third thing you can do is use your words to slower the pace. How you can do this is by saying, for example, let's take a moment to think about that. Or you could even ask for some time to think about it, and that gives you even more time to think. The fourth tool that you could use is to defer with grace or set boundaries. So, for example, the person is questioning you on a certain issue, but not all confrontation needs to be settled publicly. What you can do is say, that's a very important issue. I would love to go deeper into that after the meeting. So that means you have deferred the issue with grace and you have not put anyone in a position of unwant. So remember, confrontations are not attacks, especially in a professional setting. In a professional setting, confrontations or challenges are a misalignment of understanding. And in order for you to take these kinds of challenges with calmness, grace, and professionalism, composure signals control, mindset creates clarity, and response builds credibility. Respond with clarity instead of emotion, and shift the room away from conflict into professionalism.